Hey, it's Max Anderson with Smith and Company Real Estate, and I've been doing some interviews with some leaders in our communities just to kind of update the community the best way I know how, and that's virtually right now, and that's reaching out to leaders like my guest today who have some insight on how we can survive through this pandemic. And today, my fellow Chamber of Commerce board member had some really great insight this morning, so I asked, would you please do an interview with me in a little bit of time that you may have today. And Josh Billington, my guest today, he is the Senior Business Consultant with the Small Business Development Center, also known as the SBDC. And he was gracious enough to spend some time with me this afternoon and talk about some relief ideas and how to help our small businesses here in our local area survive the pandemic. And Josh, I'm going to throw it at you. You had some great ideas, and please just share and tell us what can we do when we're so fearful right now.
Sure. Well, thanks, Max, for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Here at the SBDC, this past several weeks, we've been super busy doing a lot of webinars on the economic injury disaster relief programs that the SBA has put out through the CARES Act. You might have heard on the news. So we're usually recommending, first of all, for people to call their banks, find out if they qualify for any deferments, because if you already have an SBA guaranteed loan, you can defer payments for 6 months on those payments, which is super helpful. If you don't, there's also some options available that you've probably heard of called the EIDL loan, Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, through the Small Business Administration. And the Small Business Administration, this is the only time they write checks or do loans directly to the consumer. Normally it goes through banks, through a guaranteed program. And there's another option available too, which you probably heard of that just got rolled out last week, called the Payment Protection Program, or the PPP. And that's one of the tools that the SBA uses through your local banks. Now they have to be a SBA certified bank. A lot of our credit unions locally here are not. Most of our small banks and obviously the larger banks are very familiar with the SBA. However, because of the volume of people applying for these, the SBA has put in some tools for banks to become SBA lenders. So I think you'll see our credit unions here locally jumping on that here in the next week or two if they haven't already, which is great. After calling your bank and applying for these programs, obviously it's important to realize that just because you apply for these doesn't mean that you're obligated to the funds. So everybody hears loan and they get all freaked out about, oh, I got to pay this all back. It's really not that bad yet. I mean, it's not going to be that bad. The interest rates on these tools are fairly low, 3.75% for the economic injury disaster loan, 1% for the PPP after things have been forgiven. So there's certain stipulations on the PPP that aren't on the economic injury disaster loan. So after looking at those programs and applying for those and talking with your bank, now's a really good time, since everything's slow, is to work on your business. Bone up on those QuickBooks skills. Bone up on your bookkeeping and accounting, because quite frankly, if you apply for some of these loans, you're going to have to prove that X number of dollars went to payroll and X number of dollars went to utilities and rent and things like that in order for it to get forgiven. So those are some really good things to do now. And then in the next couple of weeks, the SBDC will be doing a lot of webinars on cash flow. If you get the loan money, if you get the grant money, it's going to be really important to do planning here for the next 12 months. The nice thing about the economic injury disaster loan is that you won't have to make any payments for 12 months. So it's basically a free line of credit for 12 months, and then a low interest rate with up to 30 years to pay it back. So, planning your payments on, if you decide to go that route, will be, it'll be fairly easy. Little less than normal commercial loans.
Is there a range of loan, like a minimum or a maximum that can be applied for, or what's?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, because a lot of people will get onto the economic injury disaster loan webpage, and it's basically 4 screens of application pretty basic questions. They want to know what your 12-month revenue was from February last year through January 31st this year,
Mhm.
and your cost of goods sold. Obviously, if you're a service business, cost of goods sold is going to be hard to come by. Normally, it's okay to put zero in that. But in both of these cases, they don't ask you how much money you want. They have algorithms, but that basically say this is how much is available to you.
Mhm.
X number of dollars will be forgiven. On the economic injury disaster loan, they have now said that they'll give up to $1,000 per employee that is going to be forgivable, up to 10,000, or obviously 10 employees.
Right, right.
And the thing to remember though, with these federal programs and state programs, the rules change all the time. So just prepare yourself mentally for that. Don't get frustrated over that, because we're all dealing with the changes all the time anyway. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
So that's, I mean, the planning process has never been more important than it is right now. I mean, as far as how you're, I think we use the word pivot, and I think you're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. But your business has done business like this, and now you really got to change your directory where you're going. Correct? I mean, just the thought process of how you do business has to
Right.
change.
Yeah, exactly. And with entrepreneurs, it's very easy to work in your business, but you very seldom have time to work on your business. And now is a really good time to do that. But as you were saying, Max, this is going to change the way we do business for a long time. It's going to take a long time for people to um, get out of their house and basically quit ordering online and go and shop the way they used to do it. So for Main Street type businesses, curbside service I think is excellent. More of a concierge kind of service that, places like Nordstrom's have been doing for higher end customers for a long time. Super easy for Main Street retailers to do now. And I'm seeing more of our retailers here locally do that, which is exciting, especially, featuring certain items on Facebook and taking orders and making deliveries and curbside pickups. That's great. And I think more depending on the industry, you can get really creative and promote your business and your products in some really creative ways.
Yeah, I, for one, have taken advantage of as much as I can to support small business. But having, well, sugar daddy delivered to my front door, it might not be the best thing to have happen. But but those businesses, small downtown businesses, rural areas, giving curbside service, like you said, it was only thought that it was for the high end clients at one time, and now it's a source of survival for small businesses.
Absolutely, and especially when you have sole proprietors, 1, 2 person shops. Super easy to do, to call in or email an order in and have somebody run out, text, oh, I'm out front. Okay, good, great. We run your stuff out. So it's great.
Yeah, a lot of creative ideas, a lot of creative people in our area. And so you have a Facebook page, and I perused it a little bit before you and I started to chat. And there's such great information on there. And as with being the moderator of the Women in Business group here, I target a lot of the professional women business owners in our community. But I'm going to take those links and put them in that information. But can you tell our viewers who are watching this who might not have a connection to that group, what do you see as the most vital places for them to go right now and educate themselves? Where should they go?
Oh, sure. Well, I've been updating the Michigan Small Business Development Center Upper Peninsula Region web page, Facebook page group pretty much every half hour this entire week. So we make sure that we get legitimate, good, documented sources up there that we're referencing. For example, this morning I posted the new um, executive order from Governor Whitmer, 2020-42, the new one that came out, that kind of caused a little bit of panic when it came out. And after reading through it, a lot of it is aimed at big box stores type things. So I know that Scott over at Ace was super busy yesterday because everybody thought, I can't get my projects done now because I can't buy paint. Well, fortunately, Scott and Ace Hardware over there doesn't have 50,000 square feet of retail space, so he's
You have to read the fine print.
You got to read the fine print. Exactly. So it's important not to panic and just kind of wait and see how things roll out. Um, and it's, there's some easy workarounds, and it is ambiguous, and sometimes we can use ambiguity, excuse me, to our advantage, because I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're obviously still working, or you're easily, able to be reached if someone
Hmm.
has questions and concerns, and you've always been, and I admire you for that. You've been so helpful in so many ways to our community and businesses. How can folks? And I'll obviously I'll put the information below, but if you can just kind of share how, with us being working from home and whatnot, how can someone reach out to you? Why would they want to reach out to you? What can you do, or who are you to help them?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So the Michigan Small Business Development Center is a taxpayer-funded entity. We offer cost-free consulting services to anybody that registers on our website. And we are partly funded by the SBA with matched funds to the state of Michigan or the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So people are free to register on our website, sbdcmichigan.org. And obviously click Chippewa County or Mackinac or Luce, wherever you are, and I'll get notified, and we can start a consulting relationship from there. I can give you more details on how to manage this stuff. We have a huge library network wide with all kinds of webinars on it, ranging from multiple business related topics. And obviously we have several webinars going on now on how to handle the crisis, um, and what opportunities are available for you to ride the wave here a little bit.
Yeah. So one, final thought from you. What is one takeaway, one thing that our small business owners should just focus on? What would you say that one big thing is?
Well, I think for one thing, just take a deep breath. Everyone's in the same boat. Don't get panicky about not being able to pay your bills, because nobody can right now. And everybody kind of feels like, well, I'm the only one, and it's not true. It's just not true. Everybody's in the same boat. Everybody is very flexible with those kinds of things. And so just kind of maintain that a little bit, take a deep breath, realize that you're not alone. And there's people like us. I get calls all the time just because people need to talk, and that's what we're here for. Most of what we've been doing the past 2 weeks is listening and providing people with options. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I said, I reached out to you, and we spoke this morning. The Chamber of Commerce here in Sault Ste. Marie, we definitely put our heads together this morning, is doing the exact same thing you just said, looking at the future. How can we best serve our clients, our supporters, our community, our individually? And so just go talk to people, pick up the
mhm,
phone, reach out, get a different perspective, you know, everyone, like you said, everyone's kind of going through the same thing, but there's maybe different thought processes that everyone.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, and yours is very valuable. So thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So I will put the links to the SBDC below, and definitely appreciate you taking the time to chat here and do just education. Knowledge is just takes away the fear. When you know where to go, you can take away a little bit of the fear and being paralyzed. So
Absolutely.
appreciate
Great.
that.
Thank you, Max, for the opportunity.
Okay, dear. Thank you so much. Take care.